Whoa.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit early. Just making sure everything's working. We'll just give it a little bit here so people can hop on. Good evening, Wyatt. How's it going? Glad you made her. Yeah, like I said, a little bit early. So we'll just give her a minute. I'll try and sit in front of that light back there. I sure did. Drove through the reserve, and this was the outcome. No, we were up in the Sioux. What was that? A couple of days ago. And I figured it was time, kind of a midwinter change up. I used to always let it grow a lot longer than I do now, but now once it gets a few inches long, well, I hack her off. Yeah. They pulled me over, and this is what happened. They got the better of me. As much as I hate going to the city, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So, yeah, as you guys can see by the title of the video, we're just going to be chatting about some trapping stuff tonight. I got a few things to kind of go over. Nothing too major. But yeah. Yeah, I know Chess Wallace. What's that? He used to be one of the local teachers back in the day. Not in my time, but way back when. And he actually lived just up the road from us, not too far away, and had a good sized syrup operation going. But yeah, he passed away, what, 2 years ago? 3 years ago, maybe? Yeah, he was quite the character. He was definitely one of the old timers.
The old pot liquor.
Yeah, the old pot liquor. Yeah, he just talked, and he's very old school. How's it going, Charles? Glad you could stop by. If you guys could do me a favor, and as you guys come in, if you wouldn't mind hitting that thumbs up button, just kind of spreads the word that we're out here. Okay, so through marriage or something, eh? Yes. Yeah. When I worked at the local general store, he would always, whenever he came in there, he was quite the character. He always had everybody laughing. Yeah. They definitely don't make them like that anymore. But yeah, he was a great guy. Hard worker too. Gave her right up to the day he died. Had that big sugar bush up there that he did with Mancher. Now Mancher actually owns and operates it. But yeah. Okay, well, I see we got some numbers growing there, so I guess we'll kind of jump right into her, get started. Okay. So this morning, Dad and I went out and checked the main line, and as you guys know, it's been pretty slow, mainly due to the fact that still don't have much for bait. My buddy dropped off a moose hide, and then we actually just cleaned out one of the freezers, and so I had some like old pork chops and steaks and that kind of stuff. Maybe 10 pounds, and then the moose hide. So, but anyway, I got that out too. I think I took that stuff out to 2 different baits. I didn't want to spread it too thin. Obviously, there wasn't that much to take, but I figured I'd try and spice up a couple of the bait sites. Oh, right on. Glad to hear that. So you're heading in the right direction anyway for getting that, eh? Well, that's good. Yeah. So anyway, I had gotten that stuff out to a couple different baits, and like I said, Dad and I went and checked the main line. And first bait, we went to Dale's today and checked there, and lo and behold, we picked up a nice big female bobcat. I already got her skinned and fleshed and stretched, and actually it didn't take very long for her to dry with the flesh side out. So I was, just before I started the video here, I was able to get her turned. So she's back on the drying board and drying fur out. And we're doing good tonight, Charles. Everything is going tickety-boo. but yeah, so anyway, I threw a tape measure on her and she measured out to be 39.5 inches. And that's from the nose to the base of the tail. So on my board, I've got the different increments marked, small, medium, large, extra large. And she's definitely well past the extra large size. So pretty excited about that. She has pretty clear belly for our area anyway. Nothing compared to the Western cats, but hopefully she brings in, 150, 200 bucks. But we'll have to see. She was in really good shape. Yeah, she was a very big girl. Yeah. And I was able to get her all stretched and everything without putting any holes in her, so I was pretty excited. So it'll be interesting to see what she goes for. Obviously, she won't be going in until the May sale because the last receiving date is already passed for the March sale. So it'll be a while before I ever see what she goes for if she does sell. I haven't looked in my records as to what cats have been selling at percentage wise. How's it going, Chip? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure which red fox you're talking about, but both the ones that I caught recently, they were really nice ones. The one that I caught when Jess and the kids were with me was a little bit smaller than the first one that I caught when I was by myself up by the pond. But yeah, both of them were really nice colors, like a really nice dark red to them. And both of them are in really, really good shape. Really nice hair on them. I got them out in the garage drying up. How's it going, Tim? Yes, I can pick up roadkill for bait in my area. And actually, I was just saying that to my dad and my brother there in the last couple of days. Uh, Normally, you know, especially this time of year, you get deer moving across the road or whatever, and there's always, I don't know, a couple of dead deer in the ditches, and you can usually go around and pick them up. But anyway, I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe people are slowing down, driving a little more careful, but definitely no roadkill this year, which I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Uncle Lisa Productions. How do you survive if you start into a snow-filled forest without any equipment? Not exactly sure what you mean by that. I wasn't ignoring it. I was just, well, you know what? Maybe I was ignoring it. I just didn't know what you meant by that. Um, Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up here on the chat. Good to hear, Tim. How's it going, Chip? Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, so I can pick up roadkill, but like I said, there just hasn't been any this year. So yeah, that's really killing me because I kind of depend on that. And actually, I've been meaning to. I even had it written down here on one of my notes to call one of the local butchers. There's a local butcher shop, and I was hoping to call them and see what they do with their scraps. I think they pretty much debone everything. Or no, sorry, leave the bone in everything. I don't think they debone anything, so it's I don't know that I get a whole lot from them. I'm not interested in picking up like gut sacks and that. So it'd just be like legs and heads and spines, rib cage maybe. But anyway, I got to get a hold of them and see if they get rid of that kind of stuff or if they have to legally dispose of it a certain way. But yeah, I got to still check into that. But yeah, so still looking for bait. Anyway, that bobcat I ended up picking up in a 280 Conibear in a cubby box that I had at Dale's Bush by the gut pile. And it was set for coons, which closes here at the end of the month for me. And yeah, bobcat came through and tried taking the stuff out of the box and got caught. Picked her up. She just got caught just behind the front shoulders. So she got in there a little ways, but nothing too bad. Didn't mark up the leather really. I mean, there was a little bit of a line, but no holes or anything like that. So yeah. But other than that, let's see. Fox came through on the A-line bait and knocked down one of the snares, so he was close. Behind my brother's house, I don't think there was any fresh sign back there. I didn't do the whole line. I didn't go up into my brother-in-law's or into the sand pit today. But I did go and check the footholds. We had coyote tracks coming down the driveway this morning, and there was not a fair amount, but a little bit of sign back on the foothold line. Both fox and coyotes were moving last night. Yeah, so I guess that's probably all I want to talk about for the bobcat. Oh, I did call the M&R today after we got home. Called up Michelle and talked to her, and just because I have to report the bobcats because they're one of the species that you have to have a permit for, or quota for, I should say. And for rum trapping, you can't get a quota for them. So you just got to report them as a accidental catch. So that's what I did. And then she emailed me out the permit for possessing. So yeah, that's awesome, eh? When you hear those coyotes like that, just makes you that much more excited to get out there and get after them. Yeah, it helps me out if you guys hit the like button when you come in, because then it shows up on your channel or whatever as liked video. So then more people see it. So then we get more people coming in, and it's just good for everybody. No, Chip, I didn't find out when I called her today. She thought that's what I was calling about, and I explained to her my issue there with the bobcat. I said no rush on the other issues that I had. So she said that she's going to get back to me hopefully early next week. She did comment and say that for carrying a handgun on my trap line, that is federal. So she's going to, I think she said she has a phone number that I'll be able to call up and contact the person and find out more about that. But she did say that in the last year or so, that some new things have come up regarding handguns on a trap line. So it does sound maybe promising. And regarding the 330s for Fox, she didn't answer that. That was one of the things that she still had to check into. So yeah. Hay mound sets. I've had a little bit, not a little bit, a fair amount of feedback, I guess you could say, on my hay mound sets. Some people like them, some people hate them, some people give me balls over them. I don't know. It is what it is. It goes for everything, right? There's always going to be those people that disagree or agree or whatever. So, but one of the comments that I've gotten from multiple people which I have to agree with, is well, one guy was wondering why I don't stake my traps down. A couple reasons. One is because the ground's frozen here, it's really hard to get any sort of stake put into the ground. Second is I want that animal when it gets caught to move away from the set. If they can get caught and then take off, I don't want them to take off forever, but just to go far enough away that they don't ruin the set. So that's why I run drags. And so a couple of guys were wondering why I don't stake, and a couple of guys had the ideas, which this part I could agree with. Why don't I, put the drag, attach it to something like as far as the drag could reach or whatever, to a smaller tree, which I did think about. But again, you still risk, having that animal getting caught and then ruining the set. So I've never had an issue with catching something and then not being able to find it. The closest I ever came was when I was out and it was fall time and the grass was really long and dead. I ended up catching a bobcat in a foothold, and it took off through the long grass, and I had a heck of a time finding it. But yeah, so that's why I like the drags, is just so that they can get away and not screw up the set too bad. The other thing that I have thought about in the past is getting one of those like ice fishing bells that you can put on the end of your rod and somehow wire that onto the drag or somewhere along the chain, so that when the animal does get caught and takes off, you'd be able to hear that bell ringing. But that's just an idea that I've had in the past, but I've never followed through on it. Here, let me just catch up on these comments here. Yeah, I used to use logs too. I used to cut them. I'd cut a green tree down, and so big, and then 5 6 feet long. But then I decided that I would just go to these actual metal drags. I mean, the logs work great, but I decided to start going with the metal drags. The thing that I found too with the logs was once you made a catch, usually that coyote or fox chewed the snot out of the log, which it didn't wreck the strength of it, but now you've got all that saliva and scent all over it, and now you're going to make another new set, and you've got this great big scent post, if you will, which in a way is kind of good. You got that natural scent there. But then you've got them possibly digging up that log or stick or whatever and not working the set. So that was part of the reason why I got rid of that. And I was tired of calling around these great big, logs for drags. So I just thought I'd try and go a little bit an easier route. Yeah, so otherwise, it's been pretty much positive feedback on the Haymound sets. I'm loving them. I did have to dig them out of the snowbank there just recently. We got a fair amount of snow and drifting in that. So even though the traps were still set, they were just buried in snow, which I don't really see a way around that. I think that's just something that you pretty much have to deal with. But oh yeah, well that's a good idea. Then you got your natural urine post set right there. Boom. Yeah. What do you use for bait, or do you use bait, or do you just use like a gland lure and urine? So when we were out running the main line there today, I did take some time and went around and dug out some of the snares that the snare, the snow, had built up to the bottom of the snare loops or whatever. So I did take the time and I went around today and adjusted all the snares, or most of the snares. Sorry, I didn't get to all of them, but I did go around and do most of them. Partly because it does seem like maybe things are starting to move a little bit more. We did also have probably about 2 or 3 coyotes come through Dales along with the bobcat. Even though I don't have bait, when I say I don't have bait, I don't have fresh bait. The bait piles still have like deer hides. There's still some, skeletons there. But I mean, it's mainly just bones. There's not a whole lot of meat. Same as the hides. It's just mainly hair. There's not a whole lot of meat left on the hide. And, I got the odd chunks of meat, but anybody that traps coyotes at bait sites, you just know that after, a certain amount of time, things kind of go stale. So there's no more birds coming in to, peck the meat. So, you're losing the noise of the birds, the action of the birds, and the smell. So I know some guys don't like having birds come into their bait piles. I myself like to see that for a few reasons. One is you get the noise of the birds at the bait site. So usually, for coyotes, that indicates that there's something dead, which is perfect. It's kind of like a loud alarm system. Second is those birds, they'll come down, they'll grab a mouthful, and they'll fly with it. And then as they're eating it up in the branches, they'll be dropping pieces. So in theory, they're kind of spreading that bait site out far and wide, getting that scent out. And then they also do add a visual. Coyotes coming in, they see the birds up on that bait pile. Gives them a pretty good idea that things are pretty safe. Obviously, if the birds aren't flying away, there's nothing too close around. So I like to see birds. I've never had an issue with birds, pecking my coyotes or anything like that. But mind you, most of my coyote sets, not all of them, but most of them are far enough away from a bait site that maybe that's why I don't have many issues. Okay. Do you catch many coyotes on the Haymount sets, Tim? Because you're right, the Haymount sets work phenomenal for foxes. But like I've said before, I have found that it takes a little bit more for a coyote to commit to a Haymount set. And I'm not exactly sure why, if it's just that it's too flashy of a set or just what. Okay, very few. Yeah. Raccoons. Well, I myself, I'm partial to the conibears. Biggest reason, just because footholds, live traps, got to be checked every 24 hours. And that's not something I'm overly interested in, especially if I got to travel any amount of distance. Live traps work really good. Just the regular cage wired traps. You can pick them up pretty cheap at TSC and that. But yeah, conibears, just like your regular, you can make a natural cubby set, or you can build a, like a plywood box, which is what I had there set at Dales. But I quite often do just make a natural cubby, and then you just put the conibear in the front, and away you go. Dog proofs, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the dog proofs traps, to be honest, but that's just me. I just don't know that. I don't know. I just haven't had great results with them, but I know lots of guys that have, so maybe I'm just doing something wrong when it comes to the dog proofs. Well, you'd have to check the 8 certification list there for conibears that are certified for raccoons. But I know that like the Belle Isle 220 and the Belle Isle 280 are certified. So I'll kind of just give you an overview on that. When I was looking at purchasing my 280s, that's what I ended up getting, was my 280 Conibears Belle Isle. And the reason I didn't go with the 220s was for a couple reasons. Versatility was the biggest, well, was really the only factor in that. And what I mean by that is when you look at the list that those traps are certified for, you can trap beaver, otter, raccoon, and one day I'm hoping bobcat season will open up where I am, and bobcat. Whereas the 220, okay, I'm not 100% sure on the 220s, but the 220, I think you can do raccoon and maybe otter. But I don't think you can do beaver, and I don't think you can do bobcat. So, and to be honest, now that I have my 280s, they're really not that big. I think they're like 8 inches, and 8 inches is not that big of an opening. And I think your 220s are 6 inch, and so I would definitely go with the 280, the bigger. It just seems like, you know, you got that bigger opening, a little more inviting for an animal to commit to want to go into something such as a cubby to get to that bait. So I myself, that's why I went with the 280s. Was it just seems like it's more versatile for the stuff that I'm looking to trap. So. So Tim, are you saying you take? I think we talked about this, if I'm not mistaken, before. But you take a square bale, set it out in the field, and then on the corner of the square bale, you put the urine, and then you have your trap kind of off the corner of the bale itself. I think is what you've said. Anyway, well, hopefully that kind of answers a little bit about raccoons. Yeah. And when it comes to bait for raccoons, I usually just use like a can of sardines, something kind of fishy, stinky. Sometimes if I'm not having a ton of luck with that, depending on the time of year, I will switch it up and do something sweet. But yeah, raccoons are pretty easy, pretty straightforward. But yeah, okay, that's what I thought, Tim. Yeah, I'll have to try that. Maybe try and set one of those up, especially up on the edge of the bush there. The coyotes seem to be running through there quite a bit more right now than out in our fields. But we'll have to give that a go. So yeah, we got the snares dug out. Like I said, things seem to be kind of moving a little bit more, and breeding season I think is starting now. So I wanted to make sure that those snares are up and working. Even though things have been dead, I'm kind of anticipating that things are going to start moving here finally. But like I said, I need bait, biggest thing. And I have a buddy up north that has a couple moose quarters. Moose were getting hit up there, so he was taking his chainsaw out and cutting them up for me. Which he did bring down one whole moose, but that was probably, a month ago or so. So I was actually going to contact him there maybe tonight and see if he wouldn't mind bringing down what he does have, just because I'm pretty desperate for pretty much anything. How's it going, Kirk? Glad you could stop by. Yeah, well, Wyatt, that's the thing. Like we have raccoons here, but I wouldn't say we have a ton of them. You know, when I watch videos of guys trapping them down in the States and that, and they're picking up a ton of coons, like, they've got raccoons, and it sounds like you've got raccoons. Here, I don't think we have the raccoon population like that. But yeah, if you got a good raccoon population, chances are you'll have a lot of fun catching them. Our canine season, Tim, is actually open year round for fox, coyote, and wolf. There is no closed season. 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, they lifted the season for fox. Fox used to close February 15th, and then they bumped it to the end of February, and then they totally took the fox season and just made it open year round. So I don't have any seasons for the canines that I got to worry about. But with that being said, usually, like I said in the past, usually I shut it down end of February, early March. Kind of depends on the weather and how warm it's starting to get. So yeah, so it sounds like Tim has quite a few raccoons too. Yeah. It's too bad they didn't pay a little bit more for the coons. Yeah. I've put up coons before, but man, they are just so greasy, and it's just hard to deal with them. And then when you turn around and you hardly get anything for them. One thing I will say, when you're doing raccoons, if you can skin them and then get that hide cooled right down so that the fat becomes more of a solid. That way, when you're scraping it down, when you're fleshing it, it's not just literally like a wet oil that's running all over the fur. That's a huge thing. Okay, so Kirk has fox open year round, and yeah, they got screwed over with that wolf, that red wolf in Algonquin Park. Screwed a lot of guys over down there. So, and some guys were asking on Facebook and that what I'm using for footholds. Yeah, that's exactly it. Got to get that hide cooled off. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right for price for raccoon hide. But yeah, so I run Victor's number 3 soft catch 4-coil. Like I think I've told you guys before, the reason I chose 4-coil over the 2-coil, we do have the odd wolf that comes through, so I was looking for a little more holding power. It is center swiveled on the base, and it's got the rubber jaw insert. So a little bit overkill for fox, but I'd rather a little bit overkill than underkill. And like I said, I kind of feel like I'm covered for all 3, fox, coyote, and wolf. So that's why I went with those. The reason why I went with Victor over any other name brand, I felt like Victor's a fairly common name and seems like a pretty good brand. I myself am a very strong believer in Belle traps. So if Belle would have made foothold, I know they make the cable ones, but I wasn't interested in those. But yeah, so that's why I went with what I do have. Some of the other questions were what I make or what I have for snares. I make all my own snares, and for coyotes, I'm running 3/32 7x7 twist aircraft cable, and I make my snares 9 feet long out of a 9 foot long cable. I got a loop, tie-off loop on one end, and then I got my snare on the other end. And as for locks, I run quite a few different style of locks. Right now, I'm kind of just trying out, see what's best. I used to always run Adams locks, which are like the Half Moon lock. And this year I started running two different ones, Slim Lock and the Keef lock. To be honest, I'm not real impressed with either one. With the Adams locks, it was kind of like a 50-50 as to whether or not it would choke the coyote out. And with the two new ones I'm running this year, it's more like maybe between 5 and 10% chance that they're getting choked out. So, yeah, not real great. But I did order and received and actually made another dozen snares out of, I think it's the DMDC lock or something like that. Anyway, Fur Harvesters has it. So I got a dozen of those and made up a dozen snares. So those are the new snares that I'm putting out now. So it'll be interesting. They're very similar. They're the exact same style pretty much as the Adams lock, which I used to run. But instead of being like 16th inch at 1/16th metal, this stuff is more like 3/16. So it's really heavy duty lock. And one of the issues I was having with Adams lock was they were straightening out. So I'm hoping that with these new ones, they'll hold their shape and give them a better locking power. So have to try and see what they're like. And as for my Fox snares, 1/16th, 7x7. Usually make them out of like a 3-foot length of cable. Again, tie off loop on one end, snare on the other, and same kind of locks. Usually an Adams lock. I did get a dozen of the DMDC style locks, so we'll be trying those out too. Okay, Kirk has it there. DMC lock. Don't work very well on land critters. I only use DMC on my beaver snares under the ice. Okay. Well, Kirk, that would have been handy to know before I bought them. No. What do you use for coyote locks? Not Kirk, right? Obviously not coyote. But what did you used to use? Okay, a lot of live foxes using that. I was kind of hoping that was going to be the answer, was these new locks. I don't know. The next step is I might have to just break down and invest in some of the Seneca locks, or Seneca or whatever locks, Kill Springs. I know a lot of guys that are using those. Do you have pretty good with the cam locks? See, I ran cam locks when I first started, and I had very bad luck with cam locks. Stalker Steve, how's it going, buddy? Been a long time. Long time. I've been watching and enjoying your wood lathe videos. I used to have a wood lathe and enjoyed playing with it. I don't have it anymore, but that was always something that I enjoyed doing. I did actually quite a bit of it in high school. Not a whole lot, just chatting on here. Yeah, that was part of the issue that I had with cam locks, Kirk. I found that they froze up and they didn't work. Well, they didn't work once they did freeze up. And I didn't find that they worked overly well when they did work. It didn't seem like it made much of a difference as to whether or not it choked out the animals compared to any of the other locks. So I don't know. Like I said, I might have to just break down and try some of the Seneca locks. I don't know. I'd rather not have to, but we'll see. Well, thanks. Yeah, I had a good bow season there. Rifle season came and we got hit with a bunch of snow and cold weather, and rifle season sucked. There was some potential in the late season bow, but nothing ever showed up. So it was kind of slow, but oh well. One of the other thing was I had a few guys asking as to whether or not why I run snares compared to footholds, and like I said in the past, biggest reason it's the 24-hour check period. Snares, as far as I know, I don't know that there's really a limit on checking them, just because they're a killing trap. And with the footholds, you got to check every 24 hours. Like I've said, I've got no interest in checking every 24 hours. So it's one thing. Like, I mean, I got them set right now around the house here, on our own property and the neighbor's property, but getting on the snow machine and it's, a 20-minute ride or whatever. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, if you had to drive and spend a bunch of money on, from a foothold guy, snares are better. Yeah. The other thing too, with footholds is, it takes a lot of talent to be a really good foothold trapper. When it comes to coyotes and that, you really have to be good at what you're doing to get that coyote to fully commit to the set, and you're hoping he steps on little tiny pan. Whereas the snares, they're, if you can picture it, they're kind of like deer, right? They more or less follow the same trails. I don't know if it's that they smell it or what, but they know the trails are there. So once you find coyote trails, it's very simple to just hang a snare and go. You know what I mean? But yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty much what it is, Wyatt. I don't know that there's really a set timeline on kill traps. I wasn't aware of it if there is. But like I said, I usually check every 2-3 days. I will go 4 or 5 if the weather's real bad or something. But usually, I mean, it's usually no later than 3 days. And that's just because I get too excited and I got to go and check my traps. It's like Christmas morning. So, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say that if you're a guy carrying a bunch of traps, um, exactly, you can carry 200 snares to 330 exactly. Kirk said it there. So, oh, I'm quoting you, Wyatt. I'm quoting you 100%. If the M&R comes after me, I'm telling them to go talk to Wyatt. Yeah. Can you use snares down where you are, Steve? Oh, okay. I wonder if Wyatt. I wonder if you can use cable restraints. I know a lot of guys down in the States, that's what they're limited to, is the cable restraints. Okay, on private only. And do you have Steve, do you have like a Conibear max size that you can have set on land? I know down in the States there's some places that only allow a Conibear with a maximum 6 inches opening. or some of them have a rule where they have to be half submerged in the water. Yeah. So Chip, can you use the cable restraints, or are those not allowed either? $160 on ground and $224 feet high. Okay. Yeah. I see. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what the M&R come back with there as to whether or not I'd be able to have Conabear's 330 set for Fox. But we'll have to see. Cable restraints, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, if you have that snare loop like that Fox, like I said on the A line there, when we went in and checked today, I went in and there's the Fox tracks went, right through the snare, but the snare loop had closed. I can guarantee you that Fox has no idea how close he was to death. You know what I mean? He probably just thought it was snow falling or a brand like, having that loop close would have meant nothing to him. In fact, I could tell by the tracks through the snow, it's not like he took off running or anything. He just kept walking and never missed a beat. Whereas when you miss on a foothold, especially in the snow, it gives you a really good idea of what happened. But if you get there and that trap is, just snapped off in the trap bed, man, usually, through the snow, you can see where that coyote or that fox is taken off in a hurry. They've heard it. They've maybe even felt a bit of it. And they know, right? They know when they've been missed. And like Kurt says, watch out, because chances are that coyote or that fox is going to be really hard to catch from there on out. The best thing from my experience is to really switch things up. If you've been running like mainly hay mound sets or dirt hole sets, I find the thing that works the best is to totally switch it up and go with like a flat set or maybe a P post, something totally different than what you've been running. Because chances are they committed to the set that they got almost caught at, and they know what's going on. So every set that's like that, they're going to know, and they're either going to come around from the back and dig in, or they're just going to totally avoid it altogether. But yeah, big difference there. All right, Steve, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, good talking with you. Yeah, I actually used to be a part of a live chat with another guy here on YouTube a few years ago. I wasn't the host; he was the host, and I would jump on board there with him every once in a while and do the live chat thing with him. And if I'm not not mistaken, I know for a fact Steve, I think, used to join in on it too. And there was a couple other guys that would come on, and I think Kirk was part of. Oh, who was that? Was it Dave Wilcox? I'm not sure, but one of those guys. I think Kirk used to be on with them. No, you're not boring us, Wyatt, at all. It's honestly, it's one of those things that Trappers Chat Norm's channel. Okay, yeah. Does Norm still do that? I haven't seen whether or not he still does that. But yeah, don't worry about it, Wyatt. It's that's one of the nice things about trapping is talking with other people about trapping. Whether you're the new one learning or whether you're the more experienced one teaching, either way, it's always great to get talking about it. So don't feel bad, and you're definitely not boring. You're not boring me anyway. So, but when it comes to rats, that's actually one thing that I actually really enjoy trapping. I don't trap a ton of them. Um, and the best I've done in a season is maybe 30 rats or so. So I'm not a rat trapper by any means. Um, but for me in the small creeks and that around here, I really like having the baited conibear. You get a chunk of apple, carrot. The best thing that works around here is parsnip. It's just like the white carrot. You get a chunk of that on the trigger, and those always do really good. Another one that works pretty good is the floating set. So you make yourself a little float, and you can put one or two or however many little either number one coil springs or 1.5 long springs. You get them on there, and those work good too. And if you can find the house, setting on the house or in the house works good too. But you got to watch and make sure that you can do that in your area. Yeah, rats are actually another really good animal to learn on. They're fairly easy to trap. They're not human scent savvy. You can touch everything with your bare hands. The traps are easy to run. They're small traps. They're not dangerous, and like I said, they're fairly easy to trap. And when it comes to putting them up, skinning them, fleshing them, and putting them on the board, they're a fairly easy animal to put up overall. So only have experience with beaver sets. Well, for me, just in the last few years, I've gotten more into the coyote side of things, and that's strictly because of the fur prices for coyotes. But otherwise, my bread and butter for trapping is beavers. Not so much for the pelts, but it's strictly nuisance. Like I've said on here before, I can trap anywhere from 50 to 100 beavers in a year. And that's literally all for the highways and townships around here. They pay huge money for nuisance jobs like that. And so, I mean, that's a great gig. If you can get on that in your local area, you got it made. You do. But yeah, so I do quite a bit of beavers, and yes, colony traps for muskrat actually work really good too. Sorry, I forgot about those. I don't know why, because I have a ton of them, and if I have any muskrat traps out, I always am running colony traps also at the same time. So I don't know why I didn't mention those. Oh, sorry, Kirk. Didn't see that. Yes, we will see you later, Kirk, and thanks for stopping by. Lay in the sun and drink cold beer. Oh my goodness. Kirk's going to live the dream, leaving this cold, frozen desert behind. Oh, don't worry. It'll be here when you get back. But yeah, for beavers, not that anybody asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Castor mountain sets for beavers. That's my go-to. Like I said, when I'm trapping nuisance beaver for the highways, the last thing you want to do is drive 40 kilometers, get there and check empty traps. And when I go and set for nuisance, I usually set Castor mountain sets guarded by a 330 And I tell you, that's 95% of my trap sets. That's what they are. Hands down, can't beat them. All right, Tim, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you join us again. Always good having you in the chat. Yeah, seriously, Wyatt. And it never hurts. Never hurts to ask. I know when I first started trapping the township here, they already had a guy trapping, but they knew who to call as soon as that guy was no longer able to do it. And they called me up, and I haven't looked back ever since. Now I also trap for the MTO, and same thing. When I first called them up, they had a guy. A few weeks after I had inquired about doing it for them, they called me up, they called me up, and actually the head honcho himself called me and said, we found out that the guy that was trapping for us has been screwing us over. He's been claiming more beavers than he's been trapping. And trust me, it's not hard to know if you're claiming, oh, I'm catching, I caught 4 beavers there, and the culverts and that are still getting dammed up. Not to say that there isn't more or new ones, but this guy, they were just consistently, he'd claim 6 beavers, and like the job was never done. They always had issues after he was done trapping. So, needless to say, they gave him the boot. Yeah. I actually ended up sending emails out to like all the townships that surround me within like an hour drive, and I got on with a couple of them just through emails. But yeah, so it definitely doesn't hurt to get that out there. Yeah, exactly. In order to get your name out there, you just gotta make it known, and worst they can say is no. That's all. So if anybody has anything else they want to chat about, let's get it fired out there. And I've gone through my list of stuff that I wanted to chat about. So yeah. So I'll give it a couple more minutes here. Throw your ideas up. Going forward, what do we got? We got Bobcat video. Guys, I'm going to apologize right now. I had the camera in my pocket and everything when we went and checked traps today. And when I found that Bobcat and that coon set, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty excited. And before I knew it, we were back at the truck, and 10 feet away from the truck, I said, crap. I looked at that and I was like, I didn't video any of that. So shame on me. Sorry, guys. I should have, but I didn't. So we will be having a video of the Bobcat coming up, but none of it out on the line. I just did a little video of it there in the garage, me skinning it. So best I could do. Sorry. Yeah, exactly, Chip. Not much I could do. It was already done and over with. So, yeah. Other than that, I don't think we got any new videos until we start catching some more fur. Yeah, thanks, Wyatt. We probably should be doing kind of a farm update It's been quite a while since we've posted anything farm related. I'm not sure how many guys in here are too interested in the farm side of things. But hopefully you guys don't mind seeing some of that stuff. We are about 2 weeks away from the goats starting to have babies, and about a month away, just over a month away from the cows starting to calve. So once we start getting into that season, you guys will definitely see that we're posting more farm related stuff, just because there's quite a bit more action on the farm. This time of year right now, I feed hay once a week. It's pretty slow. There's not a whole lot going on. Kind of just the day in and day out stuff. So yeah. Alrighty, guys. Well, much appreciated for everybody that stopped by. Definitely much appreciated for everybody that gave her the old thumbs up. And thanks to everybody for sticking with us. We're still trying to reach that 1,000 subs. Every day we're growing that much closer. We're getting a couple subs every day, it seems like. So what are we up to? 840 subs or something like that. So pretty excited about that. Heck, just in the last couple of weeks, we've gained probably another, 50 or 60 subs. So yeah, so we're definitely looking forward to being monetized and reaching that 1,000 mark. So thanks a lot. Oh, before I let you go, I mentioned it before about a giveaway, and we are going to be doing a giveaway. So what I'm thinking is, I have a box of pelts that are tanned downstairs, like a tote, and so I'm gonna choose one of the pelts out of there. It might even just be a skunk pelt. I don't know. But anyway, what I'm gonna do is, it's gonna be something kind of different. If you guys seen Tubby Guy Outdoors, he just did a giveaway, and he's trying to do something totally different as to how it's what do you call that? Structured. But anyway, go check out his. I don't know if it's his latest video, but go check out Tubby Guy Outdoors and see how he's doing that. But what I'm thinking for ours is, what I'm going to do is, if you want to be in the draw, you have to like, comment, and get somebody else to subscribe to the channel. And the way I'll know that you can be entered into the draw is that whoever you get to sub to the channel, they are going to say, I'm going to use Tubby Guy Outdoors. Okay, so they're going to say, Wyatt or Tubby Guy Outdoors recommended that I come and check out your channel, or sub to your channel, sorry. So they're going to tell me who is going to be in the draw, plus the person that Wyatt got to sub is also going to be in the draw. Okay, so not everybody that has already previously subbed to me is going to be in the draw. They have to get somebody else to get on board. So this is kind of my way of giving you guys something, but in return, you guys are going to give me something by giving me subs. So anyway, that's how it's going to be kind of structured, but there's going to be a future video on that as to the whole layout. Okay, but just to kind of give you guys an idea, that's how I'm hoping to structure it. So we'll see how it works. Yeah, so okay, let me just run through this chat here one last time. All right, thanks Wyatt for stopping by as usual. Glad to have you in here. And for sure, go and check out Tubby Guy Outdoors. Thanks a lot. All right, guys. So with that being said, another great chat, another great evening. Thanks for stopping by. Till next time, guys. Ciao.